let's start thinking about some things that people are probably going to want to know about you.
Okay.
So you woke up this morning and your first thought was what?
This morning, I'm cold. Just kidding. I hate being cold. So this morning was cold for me. So that was my first thought.
Okay, so that
Actually, I think I overslept. I was
Okay.
afraid I had overslept for this. So
So you're a person who's very conscious of time.
Absolutely.
That's a good thing. Successful artists definitely need to be conscious of time.
Yes. It doesn't mean I always stick to the time limits, but because I think I was a little bit late. But
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about when did you realize that you had a talent for it?
I guess I didn't realize it. My parents would have realized it. I was always in, like I say, music is everything. The house was always like Bobby Brown and Michael Jackson, all these like R&B and just like smoother sounds and, you know, sometimes funky sounds, but it was always around growing up. So I would dance to Michael Jackson, and I remember being 2, and we have a lot of footage of dancing to Michael Jackson on the fire mantle and like just, you know, making everybody watch. I always wanted to give them a show, and I knew all of the words too, you know, and just like would mouth them and just be so dramatic. It's just funny. So I don't know when I realized, but they definitely started like recording me a lot more.
Obviously there were artists that you listened to.
Oh yeah, of course.
That helps you on that road.
Of course.
So did you attempt to ever emulate anybody? Is there anybody that you looked up to and respected?
Oh, I don't know, Christina Aguilera.
Okay, you sound a little bit like her, so yeah, I get
She
it.
is my absolute, I'm like crying right now, it's ridiculous. Not really, but my idol would be Christina Aguilera. It's somebody I've always listened to, always tried to mimic her runs and everything, and like I think that when I was much younger, her Stripped album, I probably shouldn't have been listening to that type of lyrical content at that time, like the way that she expressed, but it was weird because I felt a lot of things that she felt, and I grew up really fast and you know, at that time. So I just Stripped album, Christina Aguilera in general, from being tiny, always listening to her. Everybody else, but I mean, I love JoJo. She's my absolute favorite, you know, next to Christina. And because I think it's because they're such raw artists, and I think they don't conform to what they are, you know, the path that they are given and the label and all of the issues that they go through. I love that they're raw in their own way, and they show that at every moment, and that's what I love about them. So.
You know, I will tell you that one of the things that I really enjoyed about listening to you is that you had that same rawness.
Oh, thank you.
There were some things in listening to your lyrics where you know that this is a woman who has not only been through it, but they've come out on the other side. So can you tell us a little bit about what it looks like to come out on the other side?
You know, I have, like I guess referring back to the path and all of these things and growing up fast and all of those things, I've always had all of this inside of me, and I've never been able to express it. I guess I would express it in the people I would surround myself with, or, you know, different things I would do. But as soon as I met a certain person to get these feelings out and onto paper, that was so refreshing to me, because although I didn't know how to put them together, I had them all inside of me. And these scenarios where it's like, I want to talk about this because it's raw, but it's me, it's real, it's who I am. So it's like I want to get them out. So when I was introduced to Parrish, he was able to take that on for me and help me to not be afraid to let that out and create it into something that is a little bit more raw and is a little bit more on the touchy side of things that people can hopefully relate to. And if you're not relating to it, then you're lying to yourself, because they're real scenarios. So.
Well, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because sometimes we have to think about our collaborations,
Right.
and the people who come into our lives and why they come into our
Right.
lives and what they're supposed to do. One of the things that I felt when I listened to one of your first songs is that this is a girl, this is a woman who isn't ashamed of where she's been. What out of your song, Put It Down, can you tell us, what's that song about?
Song is about, it's horrible. I shouldn't be embarrassed to talk about it, but it is, it's about being a bad friend, but something is so good and so tempting. It's human nature, and you can't get away from it. And although I think that speaks true to any situation where something is so good and so tempting, and temptation is everywhere, and it feels so good, but it's so bad. And then some people, it kind of get off on that type of thing, where it's like you're teetering the line of like, I'm doing something bad, you know, and they don't really feel bad about it. I mean, but they know it's bad, you know, so it's like, put it down as just a situation where you'd be involved with your friend's boyfriend or significant other, and, you know, you don't want them to find out, but what you're doing is so great, and it's I don't know, it's kind of like she doesn't have anything on you, and it's the truth. I mean, it happens. So, although it's not good, it happens.
But you know what? You delivered in such a raw way. And you made people look at the song and listen to the lyrics and watch the video and recognize, just because I'm a person and I'm doing something that might be perceived as bad, I'm not a bad person.
Very true.
I'm not a bad person. And I believe that a lot of people who will watch this and listen to this, they will be like, I've done the same stuff.
Right. And that's what I'm hoping, that it's kind of like, listen, I don't want to promote that or encourage, you know, but it's like, it's real life, and I know many females who have gone through this. So it's like, just listen to it and vibe with it, you know, and I've grown from that scenario. I'm not going to continuously progress towards that, you know, that way. It's just, it's something everybody can relate to, and like I say, if you say you can't, then you're lying to yourself, or you know somebody who has been in that situation. And like you say, it doesn't define me, but it is a very true situation that's happened before, and now I'm not afraid to express it and let that out, so.
And one of the things that's very interesting is a lot of artists, they have many topics that they just simply won't discuss.
Right.
You know, things that don't come up. The thing I love about you is that you just put it all out there. You know, but not every one of your songs is the first one.
No.
A lot of your songs, it talks about the content, it talks about how I'm feeling.
Absolutely.
And it's ownership of me being a woman and me understanding who I am and that development.
Absolutely.
Do you think that, are you the same Janae at 15 that you are now?
Well, I would say no. Yes and no. I would say I'm not that person, but I'd say that deep down inside, there is levels that you can't get away from, and that's where Put It Down comes from, where there is something inside of all of us that we have, that temptation that we want to give into. We have the different, you know, some of the other tracks are talking about, you know, being cold and just being a darker side of me. But I think everybody has all the way around sides, you know, and different personalities, and I can bounce back in between them. But if I'm saying am I 15, no, I've grown, I've progressed. But to say I've gotten rid of some of those traits, no.
See, that's an honest answer.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about Janae
Who's
that girl? Who's that girl?
Who's that girl? I think I have a bunch of different personalities, different sides. Janae is just a name people came up with me for me because I'm extremely goofy, I'm silly, and that's kind of when I've allowed you inside of these walls, and okay, inside of these walls is probably a bad thing to say. When I've allowed people to get to know me and just get to know a different side of me. I can be extremely goofy and just silly and all over the place, but in a second's notice, I can flip back to people will refer to it as Gina or Janae or whomever, you know, and it sounds so psychotic to have so many different personalities and routes, but I think, once again, you're lying to yourself if you don't say that you do have those.
I think that is every single person who will watch this. Every single person recognizes that they are not just this single layered thing. And I think that touches upon what you said earlier, is that there are layers.
Yeah.
In your music, what do you want? Can you see yourself doing full-on ballads? Can you see yourself doing partnerships with other singers? What are some of the things that you would like to see yourself doing?
I don't know about partnerships. Obviously, in the long run, yes. Ballads, I would love to do a ballad. You know, he actually has some written for me. It's harder. It's harder for me, and this would touch back to the different sides. It's harder for me to let my guard down and sing about those situations versus an easier situation like Put It Down. It's really difficult for me to let my guard down and be able to let those emotions flood out through a microphone and give my all and let somebody see me vulnerable. Somebody who means as much to me as Parrish in a studio, as an engineer, or the people around me, Jeremy or whomever may be in the studio at the time when I'm recording the track. That would be really difficult for me to let that flood through and let it show a vulnerable side of me. So ballads are a huge thing. I'd love to let one out, but it's harder for me. It's like, let's record all this fun first.
Right.
Let's record the dirty, the grimy, let's record the fun prior to the hard, the vulnerable, you know?
Well, you definitely said it. The vulnerability is the part that is going to end up captivating people. And it
Right.
starts to make them think about, I'm her,
True.
I'm her. So one of the questions that I have to ask you is, how do you feel about the idea that there are gonna be lots of little girls out here in the world who are gonna start looking at you, and they're gonna start, maybe emulating some of your behaviors? Do you wanna be a role model to anybody?
Honestly, I would say no, because I don't have my shit figured out yet.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And like, I think this is a journey for me to find myself. This is finding myself by being able to put this out and express and talk about these topics, and I'm kind of figuring out where I am. You know, a few months ago when certain tracks were written, it's like I've grown since then. And I still, like I say, I still have some of that in me, but I've grown significantly from those experiences, and I've dabbled into other experiences. So it's like I don't really want to be a role model for anybody. I would love for somebody to look up to me the way I look up to JoJo or Christina or Jessie J, and like, or adapt as I wouldn't even say a fan, but just to be a admirer of certain topics, or to be able to relate. Like, that would mean everything to me, because then you're being true to yourself. But to say a role model, no, I wouldn't want to be a role model.
Do you feel that you are ready for this? Are you ready for success?
You know what? I'll tell you, no, I'm not. And I'll say that because I mean it. I mean, I'm ready to work, and I'm ready to progress, grow, but I don't know what success looks like. I can't feel it. I can't taste it. But everyone around me seems to see something different in me. And I think that through this process, I've gained a lot of confidence, but I have a lot further to go. I have a lot further to go. So to say I'm ready for it, no. But to say I want it, absolutely. I want to feel the way everyone around me feels. I want to feel that passion and that drive. Like, I have it, but everybody else seems to think that this can be greater, and it's like, I want it to be, but let me feel that. So I think it's going to take some time.